Newport might be the only company I know that has made their own everything, and one of those things is an electric outboard. And not just any electric outboard, it's this. The most powerful, yet competitively priced outboard on the market. But when I tested it, it was also the newest. And just like any new product, sometimes it has growing pains. But it always gets better. So we're here to revisit Newport again, to see what they have done new with their NT300, and what Newport has brought new to the table to make this motor truly stand out. After watching this video, if you're interested in this motor, it's over here. Except it's $9.99. It's not that price. That's the Black Friday sale price. Whoever got that cleaned up. And we did demo this motor today on the Newport NS130 inflatable skiff. Now, if you saw it and thought it was awesome, as I did, both of these products are here on our website, tbnation.net. And this is just the tip of the iceberg for what we have as far as inflatable craft and also for electric outboards. Check them all out. All right, let's get to testing this thing. I did buy the initial run of these motors outright and tried their firsthand. The price point and the power were very moving components, but there were some issues going on, mainly with being able to monitor the battery. There are some other things, but that was the biggest one. Now, Newport has since upped its game tremendously, including their battery systems. Their battery systems now have Bluetooth, and I can get true, accurate monitoring of how efficient the motor really is. The power and speed generated from this motor is truly impressive. It is by far the fastest. Now, it may only be by a mile or two that it beats all the others, but for any of you that thinks 1 mile is not significant, go ahead and do max speed on a motor and then decrease it by 1 mile and measure your time again from point A to point B and see how much time you lost. If it's a long enough run, the amount of time gained from just 1 mile is very substantial, let alone 2 or more. Now, there's a whole lot of controversy that 1 horsepower is actually 0.75 kilowatts. So technically these motors only qualify to be 1.25 horsepower by the main standards. But if you actually compare performance, I don't think a 3, 4, or even 5 horsepower gas outboard can beat this. Maybe the 2 strokes of old with better prop options, but these newer 4 strokes, pretty much glorified lawnmower engines, no prop options, they're not going to beat this thing. When you're getting any outboard in that horsepower range, it's all about torque, not speed. And as far as torque goes, there is no beating an electric outboard. And as far as gas versus electric goes, it is never and will never be this channel's agenda, any stupid political nonsense. We don't even follow that. And if gas outboards still won in all the key factors that actually mattered, we would just advocate for them and not even waste our time with these. But they don't. In fact, these, I think, win overwhelmingly. For one, no maintenance, almost none. No having to worry about oil changes, spark plugs, cold start issues, impellers going out, ethanol damage in the fuel lines, carb rebuilds, and just scheduled maintenance in general. When you have a gas outboard, those things don't seem like a very big deal until you don't have to deal with them. Then you realize what you've been missing the whole time. The amount of time it saves just to have one of these things. You can use it, put it away, not need it for months. And then all you need to do is charge the battery for a few hours, and then it is brand new. It runs just like it has always ran. You can leave spontaneously in a moment's notice and never have to worry about whether or not it's going to start. And there is the factor that it is clean and that it doesn't pollute the water. Now, it does run on a battery, but so does every boat. Even with a gas outboard, they all have batteries. So batteries here, batteries there. The lithium battery market has gotten so competitive that prices are at an all-time low. Prices I didn't think we would see for decades are now here. Essentially, less excuses to not at least try one of these things. To top it off, Newport has their own batteries, and they're paired to work really well with the NT300. Now, I initially tried their 30 amp hour. It wasn't a fan, but this is their 40 amp hour, and I'm hoping that it'll do a lot better. Now this is much better. You want to monitor the actual distance of the battery life, 40 amp hour, 39.7 volts, current voltage, 23. You can actually see the current amps. I'm drawing 30 amps right now, man. So I'm back to where I tested this motor the first time, but this time with a 40 amp hour battery. And I did a run from Cattail Cove, the buoy line, all the way to the first point up here. Now last time I had huge battery obscurities, I couldn't tell, but this time I could definitely tell with the phone app, and I only used 10% battery life. So I went ahead and stretched it for almost 3 miles to a nearby point. From my first halfway mark, I went from 90% battery to 52%. On my way back, I tested it from that point all the way back to the Cattail buoy line, but this time I backed it off to 60% and I was running at about 5.4 miles an hour, when before I was running about 7. The time it took to get from point A to point B was substantial, but so was the battery life saved. I think not enough credit is given to electric outboards in general for how much power and range you can actually get if you just back off the throttle to 50 to 60%. At 40%, you see insane throttle range. It would also be a lot slower to get anywhere at 40%, but at 50 to 60% throttle, you generally see around 70 to 80% of your max speed out of the motor anyways. And again, this was just a 40 amp hour 36 volt battery. On the market today, they have 50, 60, and even 100 amp hour 36 volt lithium batteries at fair prices. So the app shows that we're under 40% battery, but this shows that we're like, the battery is still at full capacity, meaning that the battery meter on the motor has not really fixed itself. It's still not very accurate, but it doesn't matter anymore because the Bluetooth ratings are way more accurate out of the BMS of the battery than probably even this. So it's fine. I'm much less concerned with the battery life readout on the OLED screen because, for one, this motor is made to go with third-party batteries, and with technology varying between brands, there's no way it's going to be able to read each individual brand like correctly, so it's hard enough for anybody else to do it right now. With that being said, what really unlocks this motor's true potential is a good battery. I would personally recommend a 50 amp hour minimum, hopefully like a 60 and even 100 amp hour if you want insane runtime. But all things considered, the 40 amp hour lithium here from Newport was very doable, lightweight, and it got the job done. And it was, I think, a lot better than their 30 amp hour that I tried before. Overall, I'm super impressed with how far Newport has came with this setup, and it just might be #1 in my book, but that'll have to be for another video. I know a lot of you like to run inflatables with these electric outboards as kind of a dinghy for a sailboat or for a yacht. Check these out. The Newport NS130 inflatable skiff is awesome. It's mainly set up as a fishing rig, but it can definitely just be a transport rig. Overall, we're really happy with Newport's entire setup here. Hats off to you guys. Good job. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.